Yes, my friends, welcome back. 3 massive stories to break down tonight. We discuss the breaking reports around Mason Mount, as tonight, Man United end their interest in signing our midfield player. To move on, we discuss the announcement of young forward Dujuan Richards, and there are some interesting reports coming out from Portugal surrounding FC Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa. So my friends, tons of things to break down, discuss. Hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button if you do. And without wasting any more time, so right now my friends, let's discuss the announcement of new signing in Dujuan Richards. Now of course, he's 17 years old, Jamaican international already. He's got his first international appearance for them, and he's set to compete in the Gold Cup for the Jamaican national team. And to be doing this at 17 years old is a massive coup. And obviously he won't be able to sign for us officially, as in like get announced, until he turns 18 as next season progresses. But for me, I think this is a very nice move. I know that there's been a ton of work that's gone into building up Dujuan Richards over his young career. I know that Craig Butler, Leon Bailey's dad, who runs the Phoenix All-Star Academy, has been an amazing mentor. He's really given him the knowledge, really safeguarded him, and really put him on the right path. And Richards seems to be a very humble, hard-working pro. And when you have that type of combination, right? Who knows how successful you can be? And the fact that at 17 years old, you're seeing results to his progression, his development already, being part of the national team already. How many 17-year-olds or teenagers are playing for their men's national teams at this age? It really happens. Now, obviously, Joe Shields played a massive part in helping us secure this guy to begin with, so it's a massive coup from him. And if you guys want to get a further understanding behind who he is, his game and how he plays, I did a video on him a few months ago, and I suggest you guys watch that to fill yourself up on all things Dujuan Richards. Now in that video, I said that he kind of reminds me of an Adriano, and I'm not saying that to try and gas it. It's more the fact that his build, right? He's a big guy, he's tall, he's explosive, not fast. The guy is ridiculously explosive. He has ridiculous power in his shots too, and that's what kind of reminded me of an Adriano. So I think that with his mentality, his work rate, his group around him too, I feel like these are the signings that could really benefit from being part of our soon-to-be multi-club network model. Welcome to Chelsea Football Club, Dujuan Richards. And now, my friends, let's discuss the breaking report tonight around Mason Mount and Man United. Right now, the Times have broken the story, and they report that Man United have ended their interest in Mason Mount, and it's for a few reasons. Number one, they kind of feel like we're applying a Man United tax on them because we're asking for way too much money for a guy that only has 1 year left on his deal and supposedly is desperate to leave the football club and wants to sign for Man United. Obviously, Havertz will be going to Arsenal for nearly 67.5 million, and he has 2 years left on his deal. So as I've been alluding to in the recent videos on Mason Mount on my channel, why are we asking for similar money for a guy that has 1 year left when he supposedly wants to leave the football club and doesn't see his future here? It doesn't really add up. Regardless, Man United think this Man United tax is very unfair. There's comparisons to how we did business with Man City over the sale of Mateo Kovacic. Of course, very quick, very smooth. £30 million, 25 million plus 5 million for a guy that has 1 year left on his deal too. So knowing the fact that last summer we signed Sterling for 47.5 million for Man City and he had 1 year left on his deal, to be fair to Man United, their 55 million offer is more than fair for a guy like Mason Mount. But right now, United are tired and they don't want to pursue this anymore because they don't want to waste time on targets they feel unattainable at this point in time. Now, this will be a massive loss for Ten Hag, who really put in tons of groundwork to persuade Mount to sign for them. Now, I can tell you guys this, Arteta and Klopp were really after Mason Mount, but Klopp was really keen on Mount and was really desperate to bring him to Liverpool. But they realised that Mount only preferred Man United if he had to leave our club, and that's why they ended up signing McAllister instead. So I kind of feel like for the next part of this video, I have been kind of alluding to this story now on all my recent Mason Mount videos, so I hope you guys have been paying attention and have keen ears, yeah? As I've been saying, if United don't pay the money we want, Mount won't be going. Now, as I finished the video, I had to quickly come back to add this point in to keep things up to date. But reported by The Guardian, it seems like Bayern Munich have made a late move now to try and hijack the race to sign Mason Mount. And, you know, if there's this fear that Mount definitely wants out, you'd think logically that a foreign club would be able to sign Mount for less money compared to Man United, because let's keep things real, we'd have to apply a Man United tax onto them. It would be very interesting to see how Tuchel would use Mason Mount at Bayern Munich for next season, but right now there's Arsenal, United, Bayern, Liverpool, all these massive clubs have shown interest in trying to sign him. And sometimes I think it's a bit mad how Mount isn't really rated that much in the fan base. Like, this is one of the most popular players at the club, you know, not only with the players, the staff and everyone. And, you know, a lot of people from what I've been hearing are just a little bit perplexed by how things have led to this moment right now. And that's what I've been hearing behind the scenes. I mean, who knows how this thing with Bayern Munich is going to play out? Could this be more PR to try and get more leverage in negotiations? Who knows? Time will tell. And as I've also been alluding to and saying, it's more Mount feels like he's being forced out the football club compared to Mount himself wanting to leave. And I think I've said this in my last video or my second video on this story, but the only official offer Mount's had was the 1-year extension. Now, I know you guys remember me saying that, yeah, because I've said this a lot of times. The last official contract offer presented to Mount was only the 1-year extension. There's been nothing since, and there's been no contact. And why was this 1-year extension offered to Mount? I've also been saying this a lot of times, but when we were interviewing managers after Graham Potter got sacked, both Nagelsmann and Pochettino really wanted to keep Mason Mount and saw him key to their plans. That was the only reason why the club came back again, aka the sporting directors came back to present another offer. Because beforehand, they haven't been talking to him. There hasn't been any contact. I've discussed this story quite a few times, but after the World Cup, the offer that was agreed upon was taken away and it was scrapped. There was a lot of confusion behind that. Now, the contract that was offered to Mount after the original agreement that they had after the World Cup was scrapped, that was way worse than the first agreement. And after that, the club didn't open new negotiations again. As I'm stressing, they only open up again once guys like Nagelsmann and Pochettino show that, listen, Mount is a guy that we want to have in our squad for next season. And if there's been no contact since the 1-year extension, then what should Mount actually do? But just keep on waiting until he gets an offer one day, when there's been no offers presented at all? Obviously, if Man United are showing tons of interest, you have to start being realistic with your career. It seems like maybe the club are forcing you out and they don't want you. So if that's the case, what is the next step in my career? I'm not just going to sit on a standby and wait for the club to give me something when they've shown consistently since January that they aren't opening dialogue or having conversations. Now, there's no answer as to why this has been the case, but my personal hunch has been that we're looking to sell a lot of high earning players and sign like equivalents elsewhere that we can sign for less wages. That's honestly my only explanation behind why we're treating Mount like this. Some of the reports coming out saying that, you know, Mount's not signing any new contracts or anything like that, they really baffled me, and I've been alluding to that in the recent videos, because what was this new offer? Nothing. The only one we know is the 1-year extension. There's been nothing since. So I feel like this situation now is really interesting, because obviously if the club were desperate and fearful that Mount could leave on a free because, you know, he's being really aggressive and he doesn't want to be here, then why would you price yourself out from securing a sale? Because he only has 1 year left. And logically, it doesn't make sense that a guy that has 1 year left would cost the same amount of money as a Havertz that has 2 years left. Like, look at the business we're doing now. Like, we're selling guys to Saudi Arabia for losses, aren't we? Originally, we wanted around like 75 to 70 million for a Kai Havertz, but we reduced that down to 67.5 million. It shows that we are more than happy to negotiate down to secure that sale. So why would we not do the same thing for Mason Mount when Man United have made a very, very fair offer to sign him for 50 million plus 5 million in add-ons? Now, as I've been saying this entire time in all my videos, I would not be surprised if Mount ends up remaining here. And of course, playing under Pochettino, having more prominence in the team again, maybe that could be the start to kickstart new contract talks for next season as next season goes on. Because otherwise, where's the interest in Mason Mount if Man United are out the race now? Arsenal aren't going for him anymore. It would be surprising if Liverpool came back. I don't think that's happening anymore. So right now, it seems like he is set to remain here. And to be honest with you, he wasn't forcing out a move. He just hasn't got nothing on the table. What is a guy supposed to do if there's no offer on the table? Like, it's only communicating the club doesn't want you. And maybe you're thinking, maybe I should move on and keep things moving. Now, hopefully, I don't have to talk about this story anymore, because I really get tired of repeating myself. And I really feel like recently I've been giving you guys like the tea behind what's been happening. Maybe I'm not saying it in like 4K, you know, sometimes with stories like this, you can't be that bait, you know, you kind of have to be like a bit subtle with things. But I wasn't saying this stuff for the sake of it for no reason. I wasn't like saying this stuff out for my ass, right? Now, obviously it comes down to this now, you know, if Mount's going to remain here, there's still a risk that he could still go if the relationship is amended. But obviously if he can play under Pochettino, that can give him more leverage maybe to get a deal that he wants. Now that I've given you guys some context behind the story, there's still the reality that these two things can happen. Number one, what if we decide to lower our demands to sell Mount now, because we really do feel like, okay, the relationship now is really that bad now that we have to cash in because we have other plans for other players that we prefer to sign. That could still happen, but I guess we'll have to wait over the next few days to see if that's the case. Or on the other hand, Mount could remain here and he could still wind his contract down and then leave on a free, and that way you're earning even more money. Like recently we've seen Marcus Thuram, he's now signed for Inter Milan. He's earning around 6 to 6.5 million euros a year. He would never earn those wages if he had a transfer fee behind him. And Mount could still do that if the relationship with the club doesn't improve over time. You can remain hopeful that he could still stay if he does play under Pochettino. But I don't want to be too idealistic. Of course, in this game, anything can really happen. And these are how the possibilities could play out if nothing positive actually comes. But yeah, if we accept a lower offer than the original demands we're asking for, then I think it kind of communicates that we are happy to sell him, like we've been happy to sell everyone else during this summer window. So time will tell, my friends, but let's continue to watch this space. So right now, let's move on to another interesting story coming out from Portugal. And we talk FC Porto's goalkeeper in Diogo Costa. Now, this is a very interesting story, and to give you guys like the backdrop behind this, currently there are some FFP concerns for FC Porto, and it seems like they must raise sales of at least 50 million before the end of this month. Now, they got fined earlier during the winter period by UEFA for outstanding FFP debts, and it seems like their financial situation has not improved in the meantime. So, with recent reports going a bit quiet around goalkeepers at this point in time, this news comes at a very convenient time, right? Obviously, Diogo Costa is one of the best young goalkeepers in European football, and actually this guy's had an amazing reputation ever since he's been making his name throughout youth ranks. He's won numerous accolades for his goal-scoring exploits, and I have to say this guy was also outstanding in last season's Champions League, and I think he even saved a few crucial penalties in actually helping Porto progress through the group stages, so he was really good. And obviously, he has a current release clause of 75 million euros, which is a lot of money, right? And ideally, do Porto want to sell one of their key players? I'm not too sure. But this report from Ebola PT is really interesting because, in typical Todd Bowley Chelsea fashion, when we want to sign players, we are going to overpay the release clause to sign a player on better installment plans. And the Portuguese report states that we hope to sign Diogo Costa in 3 equal installments of around 25 million. But I guess it wouldn't really be like that, because to agree to those installment terms, we'd have to overpay his release clause, typically by maybe 1, 2 or even 5 million euros, but time will tell. Now let's not forget this. One thing we've seen under this new ownership is that if they want to sign a number 1 option ideally, they will try their very best to make sure they can do everything in their power to make sure it happens. And Diogo Costa is rated extremely highly at this football club. Now the guy is a towering goalkeeper. He's 6'4". He's the international goalkeeper for Portugal as well too. And in terms of his game, I mean, I think he's a very imposing shot stopper. I like how he thinks. He's one of those guys that keeps his body big, you know, to close down certain angles. His defensive actions leaving his box are really good, and that tells me that he's very comfortable having to engage maybe with like a runner who's going 1v1 against him, or when he has to step up to help play out from the back too. And I guess in that sense, you know, Diogo Costa is similar to like an Onana Magnon and other guys, where he has that leadership, but most importantly, he can kickstart attacks. And see it like this, yeah? Under Pochettino, one thing we know about Poch is that he likes to have pacey wingers. He likes to have a pacey attack. So if there's like a transition moment that opens up in game, if you have a goalkeeper that can kickstart that attack, that can hit that ball 70 yards down the left flank for like a Mudryk to run into, that's how you win games. That's how you take advantage of the opposition's defensive structure. And we've played so safe and so predictable over the past few years that this is one of the reasons why we don't have enough creativity when it comes to breaking teams down. Costa has great ball playing abilities, very composed receiving from deep, and he can really launch that ball really far into the opponent's half. Now, I will never forget him for that one crazy moment he had against Ghana in the World Cup where he nearly blew it for Portugal. I still don't know why Inaki Williams messed that moment up. Like, it still pains me sometimes. But outside of that mistake, this guy is a very reliable goalkeeper that ends up saving you more games than costing you games. So if there's an opportunity to do business before this month ends to sign Diogo Costa, my friends, I am all here for it. I'm excited by this and I'm happy. And it's nice to know that for goalkeepers this season, you know, him, Onana, Magnon, great guys are available. You know, I'd still go for Onana, and you think to yourself, Inter Milan, no, what are you doing? But if there's an opportunity now to take advantage of FC Porto's financial situation, I guess you kind of have to take advantage, right? So, my friends, this summer continues to get very exciting. Let's see how things play out. And on that note, that is the end for today's other News Daily video, and I hope you guys enjoy. Of course, check out my previous ones to see how Nkunku did on his first day at our football club, plus other great stories today. And my friends, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving, probably have a drink afterwards, watch a film, go to bed, and do this all again tomorrow. So yeah, you guys will see me tomorrow. Cool.